Greetings, everyone. Well, it's Wednesday, and if you have been connected with me for a while, you know that Wednesday's theme is whatever it takes. Now, just as a reminder, we should be doing whatever it takes every day. However, I do like to highlight Wednesdays. I think it flows well. And I really will not get into the history of whatever it takes Wednesday today. Perhaps you heard me speak of it before, but it was founded because of a wonderful and great mentor that I have that really taught me what it means to do whatever it takes. Okay. So I'll get into that story later. But today, what I wanted to do for you is to really just start doing these pop up events. They're going to be shorter in nature, and it's going to be on topics and actions that you can take immediately. So the topics are going to be on being heard, getting seen, earning more revenue and recognition, which you know is what the Happy Executive stands for. And we use technology to help founders and CEOs to be able to really execute on the trends in the marketplace that are going to get their companies to the next level. Okay. So today's newsletter that I published was about asking. Now, if you really want to be heard, you need to open the door and walk through it and ask. And the reason why I'm using that analogy is I want you to picture that in your mind. Okay. Now, I realize that a lot of us are not calling on people and connecting with people in person. Some of you are. Okay. But this works for virtual as well because you can open that virtual door. Let's say you're having a Zoom call and you can ask. You can open that virtual door of your DMs and you can ask. You can also open the virtual door of your mobile phone and ask. And the reason why I want you to start thinking about that is because I want you to take the lead. Okay? This isn't about pitching. This isn't about being salesy. However, if you have a service or a product that may be helpful to some of the people that you are aspiring to connect with or you are connected with, it really is your obligation and your responsibility to build that relationship with them so that you can do your due diligence, have a conversation, and see if this would be something that they would be interested in. It is not up to them to, keep following up with you because if it's your product or service, you own that. That's why I want you to start thinking about opening the door. Okay. So, three things related to this, and they're in the newsletter if you want to refer to those. The first thing is this is about saying no to being passive and choosing to be proactive. Okay. And again, this is not about pitching. Okay, there is a time and place to pitch. This is not about pitching to people that have no need for our products or services. This is about really being proactive and seeking to better understand what their big problems are. And if they really want to work on those problems, then you can continue to open the doors along the way so that you can make sure that this really is something that you do want to offer and that can be helpful to them. The second thing is this is about being supportive and not salesy. Now, you obviously don't want to offer your services to people that have no need for them or no interest. However, I want to caution you with that because sometimes people are just truly so busy that they cannot focus on anything else. If they're working on some deadlines, whatever the case is, it's up to you to use your instincts to see how you can be helpful and resourceful in that situation. I'll give you an example. Now, this is an in person example. But when I was in pharmaceuticals, quite often I would walk into a doctor's office that was on our target list and they would be standing room only. Okay. So instead of pushing my way back to the sample closet, I would take the opportunity to speak to the person at the front desk. We all knew what the protocol was because different offices have different protocols. But anyways, I would use that opportunity when their office was standing room only to go up and say hello. I would drop off some free things and I would just offer to come back another time. And often it was scheduled. So because I offered to come back another time, I was able to schedule a time that was good for them. And I was able to get in and to make my way back to the sample closet and be able to spend a few quality minutes with the doctor and or his or her staff. Okay. So we need to use these opportunities to make sure that we're being supportive and understand that when you're pursuing someone as a prospect, it's really up to you to be able to combine those agendas together. Because remember, as the example with the pharmaceuticals, the doctor's office, they have a different agenda than I did as working for the pharmaceutical company. Okay, when I was with AT&T, my first sales job, my first real job out of college, I had a different agenda, of course, than the companies and universities that I was selling our systems and services to. So it was really up to me as that point of contact to be able to combine our agendas and make sure that it was a very beneficial relationship, that I was supporting them, that it was not always about my agenda. However, you do have to ask, you have to communicate, you have to find out what their biggest problems are. Now, the third and final thing I wanted to talk with you about today is follow up. Now, the one thing that you need to leave outside the door when you're focusing on follow up is guilt. Okay. So I want you to envision opening that virtual door or the real door if you're calling on people in person. And I want you to envision leaving any kind of guilt outside that door when you're following up. And the reason why that's important is I want you to understand that, again, if this company, this doctor's office is on your target list, and perhaps you've had some conversations with different team members or even the doctor himself or herself, and you know that you can solve some of their problems, maybe all of their problems, then it truly is up to you to follow up. However, you need to leave the guilt outside that door. You need to not assume, like, oh, they probably don't want to hear this. Now, do keep in mind, though, that you have to be able to use your instincts and know, like when I would walk into the doctor's office and it was standing room only, I took that as an opportunity that I could, be supportive, build goodwill, and tell them that I'll come back another time because the last thing they needed was, more chaos, right? We need to calm the chaos. And quite often when I did this, there would be a line of reps who were not offering to come back. And that meant that the office staff was dealing with the line of reps that did not offer to come back, as well as the standing room only patients and family members. So use your instincts. And I know that if you can open the door and leave the guilt as far as, oh, well, maybe they don't want to hear from me, and go in with the intention to help and to serve and to be supportive, you will be able to really celebrate so many successes. Because if you start looking at things as a win-win-win, and you'll be able to really clearly assess, what really is a win-win-win. But the way that I like to look at it is, if we're going to do business together, or we're going to work on a project of transformation together with, let's say, their technology, then it's a win for them as a company. It's a win for us, as a team of the happy executives, right? And then it is a win for all of the people that that company serves and helps in their ecosystem. So think about taking it to that next level. Like, what does that next level look like for you if you're selling a service or product? And message me. Let me know. I'd love to hear if you are willing to ask and have really meaningful conversations with those people that you may think are on your prospect list. Really seek to serve and seek to support. And I really think that you will be able to up level your thresholds as far as what you're looking to achieve with business and sales. And you're really going to continue to make an even bigger difference in the world. Okay. So I hope that was helpful to you. Just to sum up, okay, we talked about 3 core ideas. We talked about going from passive to being proactive in this relationship building process. The second thing we talked about was being supportive versus salesy. We're not pitching, we're not being salesy to companies, organizations, CEOs, and founders that you may have no need for our service. Okay. Now, it is up to us, though, to make sure we do our due diligence, so that if we do believe that we can help them, or maybe we know some of the problems that they're struggling with, then we do need to make sure that we stay in front of them. It's up to us. Remember what I said, to open the door and walk through and ask those questions that might feel really uncomfortable, but you need to ask those questions. And then the third and final thing is following up and leaving the guilt behind. And just be genuine, be yourself, and seek to support. Bye, everyone. Let me know how you're doing. Okay. And let me know if you have any specific topics that you would like me to do a live stream on. And I will definitely put those on the list and see if we can't get those scheduled. Okay. Bye, everyone.